you've been a fan and watched it change, and you've seen the women's evolution come in, and from the time that you became a fan, where probably the Bellas and McCool would have been lucky if they got 5 or 6 minutes on Raw to have their entire match, and that probably would be a women's match, to where we are now, kind of 30 women Royal Rumbles, elimination chambers, headlining WrestleMania. Like, has that all helped you kind of think this is genuinely something I could do for the rest of my life? Like, because it feels like now there isn't that line in the sand between men's wrestling or women's wrestling anymore. It's just wrestling.
I'm really happy with the way it's gone, but for me, I do still just love those 5-minute matches, although it makes you sad. And I think these women could have done so much more if they had this time and opportunity. To me, I still love those 5-minute matches because they went out there, they told an amazing story.
Yeah.
You know exactly who's heel and who's babyface. They had character moments in there. The charisma I think women's wrestlers had was insane, next levels, because, they had to go out there and be, you're only going to see me for 2 minutes and I need to get over my character and everything. It was just insane. And I think, to me, that's what made me fall in love with wrestling, is these women, they went out there, they do it in such a short time span and tell such an amazing story. And then you'd watch some matches later on in the night that'd be 15 minutes and you just kind of lose. I'd be like, I can't see a story. It's a struggle to watch. Amazing athletes, everyone that does wrestling, but it was just sort of, for me, my love will always be women's wrestling and nothing will ever change that. To me, I'd rather sit and watch a women's match that lasted 5 minutes than a men's match that's going to last 20 minutes. But yeah, so I love the way the women's evolution's gone, though. I actually, God, it sounds so bad, but I cried when we had the Women's Royal Rumble because I've always wanted one for the women. I used to make them myself in like WWE 12 when you create the stories.
Yeah.
I had to go the long way about it because actually you couldn't do it in video games because they can't do it on TV.
Right.
But for me, it's brilliant and it's amazing, and I do really want to be, a part of that. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, it's just, sometimes I think it's not the same for me, but it is insane and it's amazing that women are now given the opportunities to main event WrestleMania, or they're given the opportunities to have that Royal Rumble. The main event spots are now a lot more regular, which is lovely to see. And it does prove, I think, to a lot of the naysayers that women can do this. But I would just like to see maybe more women coming back from the past who didn't, let's say, have those opportunities to get those opportunities. We always see the male legends come back and do like a 2-year run. They'll win a championship, they'll do this. Whereas I think for women's wrestlers returning, you don't get that. I think that makes me sad. I'd love to see like Michelle McCool, she's going to Hall of Fame this year. She could do a whole run, and I personally think would be, again, one of the top stars in this era. We've seen Trish Stratus come back, and she's blown like some of the women on the roster out of the water with her like ability and just her charisma.
Run was the best run of her career, I think.
I love heel Trish. Heel Trish is my favorite. It's just, that's what I want to see more. I want to see Candice Michelle back in the Royal Rumble. I want to see Candice Michelle come back for a run. I want to see Victoria. I really want to see Jazz come back. I want to see all these women that didn't get these opportunities to be able to have a run like that again. Like Trish got a steel cage match, got to be in the Money in the Bank match. They've got to be in Royal Rumbles now. So I just pray that we get a run from another legend for the women and they win like a women's title.
Well, I'm rooting for Candice Michelle. Obviously, there's a few you mentioned, like Jazz, like Molly Holly, Ivory. There were some incredible workers during that era who I don't think. Molly Holly did get inducted into the Hall of Fame, I believe, eventually. But it's the there's a kind of a body of workers that I think are slightly overlooked, like Jacqueline as well, like some fantastic talents who were they almost at times played like second fiddle to the Sables or the Chinas or whoever it may be in that era, and actually were so instrumental in kind of putting both matches together. I think Jazz was fantastic, and Jazz is completely overlooked in the history of wrestling.
Jazz is amazing. I think she's one of my favorites as well. Like when I want to think like how to be a heel, I really do sometimes think of like what would Jazz do, or Molly Holly was an amazing heel. The paddle when she cracks it on Trish's head. Oh, it's amazing. But no, those are some women that I think. I know Molly Holly was inducted, but I'd love to see Jazz inducted. I'd love to see Victoria inducted again, because I watched a lot of interviews by those women like in the past, and they say, you know, the ones that helped them were Jazz, Molly Holly. Victoria is another huge one. I hear everyone say like Victoria helped all the Diva Search girls, like, and I would just love more recognition for those women, because I do think that WWE are also maybe a bit ashamed of the past for women's wrestling, you know, like the bra and panties matches and matches in like substances of like pudding or a swimming pool. And I think that's why those women don't get enough recognition, because they either had to do those or that was like the punishment if they did too well. I still do kind of love my bra and panties matches. That's what all the boys make fun of me for. I do sometimes love them, because they'd pull out like moves that they wouldn't do in a normal match. And I'd be like, Tori Wilson's just done a springboard move. What is going on? So for me, it's brilliant. And yeah.
Well, it's almost like they had a point to prove, isn't it? It's like, okay, you're going to put us in bra and panties, so you're going to put us in pudding. Well, we're still going to actually have a match here, and we're going to steal the show regardless.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to actually still have an amazing match, even though we're having to do it this, and we've got to make it sexy and like for the boys. It's going to be actually, you know, like for the girls, and we're going to showcase actually we can do this.